Hi, and welcome to Off the Menu. Today we're at Crazy Russian Girls Bakery, and we're about to sample some of the best ethnic food that Bennington's got to offer. Natasha and her husband Matt have a breakfast and lunch business here in downtown Bennington, and it's just fantastic. My special guest today, returning for a second episode, is Michael Keane. So let's get started.
Hi, welcome to Crazy Russian Girls Bakery.
Well, as we talked about on our way in, the whole concept of enjoying ethnic food when you've lived in or near a big city, and then sort of being in an area like Bennington, which doesn't have a lot of ethnic food nearby, or if it has ethnic food, it may not be fully genuine. It's one of the things that you can miss from a big city experience.
And people that haven't traveled a lot, that haven't had the pleasure of dining in other countries and in other cities,
And the adventure.
It's definitely an adventure. But
Yeah.
I think that people are sometimes afraid of it.
Yeah.
And so one of the wonderful things about having this available to us in Bennington is that, first off, we can enjoy some of the food that we love, but others can try it and learn to love it as well.
Yeah. And it's right downtown on Main Street. As we've seen over the past couple of weeks, Natasha has been serving Vietnamese food, Thai food, Middle Eastern food. I mean, the banh mi that you and I had a couple of weeks ago is just
was
beyond
fantastic.
belief. Yeah.
And on Fat Tuesday,
Yeah.
to be able to enjoy some etouffee
Yeah.
was absolutely perfect for me. I just absolutely love it.
I didn't come in on Fat Tuesday, but Mardi Gras, folks, in case you missed that one.
I'll tell you, they did a really nice job with the
Absolutely.
etouffee, and it was right up there with what I've had in Louisiana.
Yeah.
So
Last week's Saturday, we stopped in for the Yemeni lamb stew and this great Middle Eastern salad, which just, it worked for me.
yeah,
It also worked that I had a nice bottle of red wine with it.
yeah, that would definitely
kind of
be
helped a
nice.
lot. Kind of helped a lot.
So Michael, of the places that you've traveled
Yeah.
and the cities that you've lived in, what's your favorite ethnic food?
Frankly, the one that I like most of all, because it's not only ethnic, but it's very present in the United States, is Portuguese and Brazilian cuisine. Edie and I used to live in New Jersey. We lived not far from the city of Newark, which
Right.
in story and song is renowned for what used to be all the murders, the robberies, the muggings, and what have you. And in the past 10 or 15 years, Newark has undergone such a great renaissance with a big cultural center and theater, minor league ball team, but also the real interesting thing about Newark is, we talked about this before, the Ironbound district of Newark, which is available to everybody. It's right near the
Portuguese food,
Portuguese
is
food, Brazilian
unbelievable.
food. The language that as you walk down the streets, you walk down Ferry Street in the Ironbound, 9 times out of 10 you're going to hear more Portuguese or Luso-Brazilian than you're going to hear English.
Right.
And every 15 or 20 steps is,
Ooh.
wow, something's coming here.
Oh, Natasha.
Hi, Natasha.
How are you?
you?
I'm good. I thought I'd start you off with some of our soups because we're really known for our soups here. And because we did the Middle East last week as our theme for our cuisine, this is our Yemeni lamb stew with Middle Eastern spices, and then it has a hulba on top, which is a spicy fenugreek sauce.
Yeah.
And you need to stir that in because it's a little bitter on its own, but it wakes the soup up. And then this is a soup that my son-in-law made today. It's watercress.
Oh, wow.
Has a Rashal Hanout, I probably butchered that, North African seasoning,
Yes.
some rose water, some carrots, and some chickpeas.
Wow.
Wonderful.
Okay,
Sounds
so there's some
fantastic.
Greek yogurt in the middle, and you can stir that, and you can stir that, and I'll bring you some sandwiches.
Natasha,
That's-
thank you so
Thank
much.
you
We're so
very
much
much.
looking
This
forward
is,
to it.
Thank you, Natasha. Folks, this is ethnic food at its most superb, its ultimate. I had this on Saturday. I was just talking about this before. I'm going to have more. It's superb. I haven't had this yet, and I know I'm going to enjoy it. So I think we should just dig in.
Let's
Why don't
dig
you start
in.
with one,
Absolutely.
and I'll start with the other.
And we'll swap bowls. Sounds
Yeah.
good. Well, to your health.
Hearty appetites. And to you folks out there, please make this a place that you stop off at, because believe me, you will be enchanted, you will be pleased by the friendly greeting that you get here, and, excuse me one moment,
I'm really impressed with how far they've come from just
Mama.
baked goods.
oh,
I mean, their baked goods are absolutely marvelous, but the food that they're serving here, it's just terrific. And I think everyone in town would really enjoy it.
I will use an expression about this soup that I have used once before in your presence. This is slap your mama upside the head good. I mean, there's no way around it.
Yeah, I'm loving this stew as well. There's just such a proliferation of flavors in this stew. And the spices that are in it just complement it perfectly. It's just terrific, Natasha.
Wonderful.
You're back.
I'm back. So I gave you a sampling of different sandwiches. This one is a lamb shawarma with a homemade pita bread and a chopped Israeli salad and a yogurt sauce. This is our famous Vietnamese banh mi, which I can discuss after. And then we have, from Jamaica Week, we had Jamaican jerk chicken with coconut rice and mango salsa.
I hope it's good and spicy.
This is way more than we can eat.
I know, but
And
I
it's
just wanted
beautiful.
you to taste.
The mango salsa that you've made is just so colorful and nice. It's just-
Well, folks watching us, you may endure a few seconds of silence here and there, because we're also here to enjoy this wonderful food, as well as talk about it and talk about what Natasha and her staff at Crazy Russian Girls does here, and how much interesting food and interesting atmosphere that they have brought to downtown Bennington.
Michael, you talked a bit about your love of Newark and particularly the Portuguese and Brazilian food. I think for me, my favorite kind of ethnic food is Asian food. And that can be Thai or Vietnamese or Singaporean. And I never tired when I was traveling through Asia. I never tired of trying different dishes, different nationalities' dishes, because one way to really get to know people when you're doing business with them, or when they're visiting, or when you're visiting them, is to learn about their cuisine and learn about what they eat. Because if you can do that, you can win your way
Absolutely.
to their hearts.
I think
And,
for you and me, we were essentially in the same situation, experiencing the foods of the countries that we visited or worked in or did projects in. It's a little easier, especially when you're doing it on an expense account, and that's.
Well, no doubt, that's certainly true.
But the knowing what a different culture is about really almost always starts with food. The language is one thing, art is one thing, but everybody has to eat, and it's almost impossible to go to a culture and not find something rich in their cuisine. Something rich in the sense that it's good to eat, it's well prepared, it's imaginative, inventive.
And the food that Natasha is serving and making here have ingredients that we're all familiar with.
Exactly.
They're just put together in a little different way that causes the flavors to just absolutely explode. And the fresh baking of their breads that they use to serve these dishes, the freshness of the fruits and the ingredients that they're using, it's just terrific.
I think we want to really show this as well over here. I mean, where I think Natasha excels and really where you have such a tremendously good hand is in such a gentle use of interesting spices to make everything feel and taste so alive. And this, I'm going in here.
All right. I'm going to try the lamb.
We could try
shawarma.
it together, I'll just put it
Yes,
up here.
yes, of course we can. This one, I guess, is a pickup sandwich.
Yeah, I think they both are, but there'll be a little spill here and there. Well, here we go. Michael's going into the jerk chicken. What I've been trying to talk to Natasha about is maybe at some point she'll make some roti goat. So this will be Jamaica, man. Okay, here we go.
This is like a kicked up gyro. It's just tremendous. And the cilantro on it really is very, very nice.
Thank you.
Really nice. Nice dressing.
And the jerk is, yes, nice and spicy, nice and firm.
Is this a tzatziki sauce that you have on the sandwich?
It's similar to that.
I'm getting the garlic, I'm getting the cucumber. Is that right?
Yep, there's garlic and cucumber, and it was an Israeli cucumber salad that it's a little bit fusion, I guess. The yogurt sauce, the Middle Eastern yogurt sauce, is almost like a buttermilk yogurt sauce, and I thought this might have a little bit of flavor and be more familiar to people. It's one thing to introduce them to all these new flavors, but I try to have something that's a little familiar about it.
Yeah,
Spicy?
it's really good. I really love it. Thank you so much.
This has the other best place where I've had jerk chicken is, of all places, on the streets of New York, down in Wall Street.
Oh, really?
The lunch trucks pull up starting at about 11 o'clock, and they're there till about 4 in the afternoon, because people in Wall Street, people are eating all the time. And
Stress.
there was one guy who made a jerk chicken that comes close to this. And this is really, really good. But you'd be surprised at how much of this ethnic food you can get on a street. It's the street food again, as Natasha talked about, as you talked about. And it's, I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to have another piece of this.
Well, my son-in-law made the jerk marinade himself, and we try to do. We treat our cooking the way we treat our baking. Everything from scratch. When we make a soup, we're making the stock ourselves. We try to use as fresh ingredients as possible and as local as possible.
Let's try it.
Yes, I sure
Have
do.
to try. I'm having some rice.
I do indeed.
This is so delightful.
Thank you.
All you viewers out there, if you could all write a letter to Natasha and Matt authorizing them to adopt me as their son so I could do this every day, this would just be wonderful.
Yeah.
The foods are authentic, and it's a great lesson that everybody can take to be enthusiastic about experimenting with different types of food. You know, everybody tends to be a little routine oriented. We always eat this because we always ate that. And what is great about this, and what is great about parts of our country, is that you can try this every single day. And now we have it right here in Bennington. I'm having the banh mi now, and it's again marvelous. I mean, folks, it sounds as though we're overdoing it. We're not exaggerating. The quality and the tastes of what we have before us are so good, so hearty, and so markedly different from each other that it's just incredible.
Well, and the thing is, I mean, I've had banh mi in Vietnam, I've had jerk chicken in Jamaica, and I've had sandwiches similar to this in Lebanon and Israel, and this tastes completely authentic. There isn't anything about this that I would change. The freshness of the ingredients, the salad, the spices, the bread. I'm really excited that you're going to make pita bread.
What was your inspiration to do the country a week kind of thing?
It's been in the back of my head. That was my big plan, and for a while, for the first 2 years, I had to focus on the bakery and getting that up. And then, of course, every Thursday we do our peasant lunch, which is Russian and Ukrainian and Polish food. We have stuffed cabbage, pierogies, kapusta, and kielbasa. I wasn't really sure how the ethnic food would do here, whether people would be interested in it or not, but I grew up in Queens. I've now lived in Vermont longer than I've lived in Queens, but I grew up in Queens. And it's
What part of Queens did you go?
College Point.
Okay.
And it's a melting pot of different foods and exciting things, and I really miss that. And so in the back of my head, I thought I would like to have in my restaurant the way we had at home growing up with my parents, and then also the opportunities to try new and exciting things that I had in the city.
But you have to remember the old saying, be it ever so humble, there is no place like hummus.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
like hummus.
Yes. But the hummus that you buy in the grocery store, a lot of people think they like hummus. Most people have never had it.
Exactly.
Because the hummus that you buy in the grocery store is flavorless
Yeah.
compared to what you can make yourself if you start from the dried beans and you really do it right.
Even those manufacturers who try to put garlic and peppers in it, it still comes out as bland.
And I think that it's just the same parable for almost all, quote, manufactured food, and what manufactured food in the grocery tastes like compared to homemade from scratch with spices, building the flavors, using the fresh ingredients, and you've done that masterfully.
Thank you. That's all the same details that excited people in the beginning about our bakery.
Natasha, one of the things about Crazy Russian Girls that's so fascinating is the story about how you started this restaurant. I mean, as I understand it, you had a food cart basically.
Yes.
And you worked in downtown Bennington selling pretty much baked goods, right?
Yes, baked goods.
And you got kind of popular, I think, through some of the downtown festivals that we have, like Mayfest and the like, when people are downtown and serving lots of food. And your baked goods are amazing too.
Thank you.
But your business has grown. It's such a nice success story. Tell us a little about that.
It was, I guess, a happy accident that I've been in the food industry since I was probably 14 years old, and then grew up cooking and baking with my parents at home. Everything good happened in the kitchen. Everybody gathered in the kitchen, everybody cooked together, everyone baked together. So it's in my blood, but I had never done it professionally. And I was baking out of my home with my daughters, and we were selling a little gypsy cart on Main Street. And we were making just a few things, but people reacted in a surprising way, because they were honking their horns and yelling out the windows that my brownies were the best. They were walking into my apartment, into my kitchen, and saying, "Oh my gosh, teach me how to bake." And I wasn't doing anything different other than using really, really good ingredients and no shortening, which I think coats the tongue and keeps you from tasting the flavors. Good vanilla. Back then I was crazy and I was hand grating my nutmeg. My husband has fixed all of those little production issues with me.
I love to grate nutmeg, so I'm right with you.
I do too, but it was a hard transition from baking at home to baking professionally. And cooking professionally, I'm doing the same thing now, where it's a tradition, a transition. It's not the same thing, and you have to think differently, and you have to think larger, and you have to think faster and more efficiently. So that's all of a learning.
But sometimes efficiency, and in the name of efficiency, things suffer.
Yeah.
But I don't see that here, and I think the learning curve, for you has just been fabulous.
Thank you.
But the other thing that I want to mention and ask you about is that I know that you not only have a nice business here with Matt and the family, but you're a bastion in the community. I mean, some of the things that you guys have done to help others. For example, when you ran the storm relief efforts right out of your store to help people. You help people in many, many ways in the community, and I think that has really endeared Bennington to you.
Thank you. The storm thing was a complete accident, just like the bakery. I was just raised to feed people during times of hardship. That's what my father does. Every time there's a crisis, he starts banging pots and pans in the kitchen, or he starts buying people plane trips to go travel. Those are the two things that he feels helps you find your center again. And I love my community. They put me here. They put me in business. They've been so amazing and supportive of me. And I want to have a type of bakery that is a legacy that I can pass on to my children, even if they don't want to work here. But many of them do. My son-in-law is my cook. My daughter is my cake decorator. My 11-year-old's a whiz on the cash register. a legacy, and so in order to do that, I need to have the support of the community that put me here, and they've been so wonderful, and I just want to give back.
Well, they've been wonderful because you've been wonderful.
Oh,
And
you.
a story that I like to tell is when my daughter and grandson came up for a visit, and I told them that we were going to go to Crazy Russian Girls, and my grandson is 7, and he got so excited about this. It's all he would talk about through the course of his several-day visit here. They're from Florida. And I remember being up on Woodford Mountain, and we were up to Hogback and looking out, and he was standing there, and he looked at me and he said, "Grandpa, when are we going to see those weird ladies?" I understand that the restaurant has won a number of awards recently, and through the last several months. Maybe you could just tell us a little bit about some of the honors that have been bestowed.
I guess I'm a little competitive, so when I go to an event, and I love to feed people, so when I go to an event for a culinary competition, usually it's for a fundraiser. Usually we bring much more than we've been asked to, and I like to make a big splash because it's the perfect way to market my business. My best advertising is to get my food and my baked goods in people's mouths. And so we've been very lucky. We've had a little winning streak. I'm waiting to not win a competition because it's just getting, the pressure is just so bad. But we won Taste of Vermont, table appearance and presentation at Stratton Taste of Vermont. Just this month we won for 2 years in a row in the sweets category for the Hot Chocolate Society culinary competition. We won a arugula competition in Massachusetts, and Matthew had won with 2 desserts. He swept the Hot Chocolate Society last year.
Wow.
So yeah,
That's fantastic. And how do you hear about these opportunities to compete? I mean, are these things that are in culinary magazines, or are they heavily advertised?
They've been coming to me.
Oh, wow.
I bring so many baked goods. If they say 100 tastings, it's dessert. I'm probably one of the few dessert people there. I know they're going to hit the dessert table, and 100 isn't going to do. So we bring 500, and then we set it up really nice because people eat with their eyes, and dessert especially. You just want to see this dazzling display. So the Taste of Vermont and Stratton Mountain this year, they called me up. They said, "We're giving you a 12-foot table this year." And that was pressure to fill that. So with 500 desserts, a 4-tiered cake, and they plowed through that in an hour and 20 minutes. And
boy, I'll tell you, I'm so impressed. So I mean, think about the way that this started. A food cart with some baked goods out of Natasha's home that I'm sure were outstanding. People enjoyed them. The pull to get her to open a place that was bigger, better, her own drive and Matt's drive to serve dishes that people don't get the chance to try. It's just fantastic, and we can't thank you enough for letting us film an episode
thank you.
of Off the Menu.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So Natasha, in addition to serving great lunches and soups and the baked goods that you have a breakfast business as well, right?
Yes, I do.
You open pretty early in the morning, right? And
we open the doors at 7 a.m., but we're here. Matt starts around 2:30, 3 a.m., and I start around 4:35 a.m. So the rule is if people see the bakers working inside, they can bang on the windows. We're not as organized as we are at 7 a.m., but we certainly have things coming out of the oven.
Wow.
So we're here pretty early.
And the bagel business for you is really very good, right? Tell me a little bit about how did you get into making bagels, and what kinds of bagels do you serve?
Well, Matt, in the beginning, the first 2 years, I've been dying to make bagels, and he said, "Don't you dare." He put his foot down because he knew that the minute we started making bagels by hand in an area where nobody has them made by hand, I think Manchester's the closest, that it would get bigger than I was able to handle. And Matt was working at Skidmore College as the lead baker for the first 2 years, and he's only joined my staff very recently. And so I've been operating the bakery with a handful of interns and a couple of staff members and myself. So Matt joined full-time in September, and we started making bagels by hand, and it completely exploded. And we do all the same crazy flavor combinations that I like to put in my baking and my cooking, and you just never, it's always a surprise. And people reacted like, you know, completely addicted, banging on the windows early in the morning, just really excited about fresh bagels.
That's really terrific. I think it's great to have the shop here and available, you know, to people, you know, starting at 7 in the morning. And I see every morning when I go by, I see traffic here, and it's really great. I think
Thank
you're
you.
doing a splendid job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
After you.
Boy. Wow, Michael. That was really a fantastic meal, wasn't it?
You know, I'd like to say I'm stunned, but this is the kind of thing that you can have every day at Crazy Russian Girls. It's exceptional because it's so good. It's not exceptional because this is routine for Natasha and her crew. They do so well.
They do. And the thing that amazes me is how they change up the menu.
Yeah.
The idea of having a country of the week, the idea of, you know, having foods that match holidays and traditions. And I mean, it's just, she's doing just an amazing job with what she's making.
The other part of it is how she manages to put into the atmosphere what she describes about her upbringing, where food was a way to bring people around the table, make people feel comfortable, make them feel well. Does the same thing in here.
Yeah.
Marvelous.
It's
I gotta
terrific.
tell you. Yeah.
Michael, thanks so much for being my
Thank you
guest
for
today.
inviting me. It's good to see you go over a table again. Yeah.
Let's take a walk.
Let's go.
All right.